Hey everyone, welcome to another great interview for the 2023 Business Connection Summit. I'm Bill Marshall and I am with James today, and we are going to be talking about a very important business thing that a lot of people don't know or even consider, which is niching down on the specific target area that you are trying to grow. And we're going to dive in depth on what this means and why it's such a key thing in business. So, James, please tell us who you are, what you do, and a brief little introduction into what we're going to talk about.
Okay. Hey, everybody. It is my pleasure to be here to meet you. My name is Dr. James Bryant. I am the president and CEO of Engineer Your Success, a boutique executive coaching, leadership development, and consulting firm that focuses on helping engineers and business owners win at work and at home. That's my market. That's my niche. And what we're going to talk about today is how I got there and was able to build a six-figure plus business by getting there.
Perfect. So, the first thing I want to do is really kind of break down the idea of what is, picking a niche to focus in. What does it mean to really target in on someone business-wise?
Yeah. So many of you may have started off in business like I did. So I started off doing life coaching, and people would say, "Who is your target market? Who's your client?" And of course, like every person starting out in the beginning, I'm like, everybody, I can help everybody. There's nobody that I can't help. And what happens is you start formulating messages, and your messaging and your marketing and your targeting is for everyone, and it really dilutes your message. And so while you're trying to help everyone, you're actually helping no one, or a very small segment of people, because your message is not refined enough for people to actually hear what you're saying. So when we talk about niching down, it is finding that set of people that you and your message are uniquely designed to impact, to take them from where they are to where they want to be, that your programs are uniquely designed to benefit that group.
Absolutely. And I think that another thing to kind of note and bring into it is too that as a small business, but also the environment that's been developed because there's so many businesses, because there's so many people out there, to really be successful as a business owner, you have to find who you're going to target and really work in on them because it's basically the difference of having 100 people that really love your business or trying to hit 1,000 or 2,000 people and only getting 5 people because you're not consistent in who you are, like you were saying with your message
Yeah.
or finding the right people. And it used to be where a company could go and put a TV ad out, hit 1 million people and get people interested. But now because it's social media and there's so easy to get in front of people, that dilution of no one knows what you do because you're trying to shout to everybody doesn't work. So
Mhm.
with finding our target and figuring exactly what we want to focus on, how do we start putting that message together? How do we start really knowing that we're hitting that particular market the way we want to?
Bill, that's a great question. But before we get to that question, I just want to speak to something that many business owners are maybe thinking. And that is, if I niche down, I'm going to miss out on all of these potential sales. I'm going to miss
Mm,
out on all of these potential people that I can connect with, that could benefit from what I have. And what I found in my experience is that as you niche down, you begin to actually expand the impact of your brand. You expand the impact of the people that you're able to reach. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but the more refined that your messaging gets, the more targeted that you are in the problem that you solve and how you solve that problem, in the transformation that you provide to your clients or your customers on the other side of that, the more everybody will benefit, because you'll be able to articulate your value proposition much better. And you'll be able to communicate that in a way that people that are not even in your niche or your target, right at the bullseye, it'll still resonate with them. So I just want to make sure, because I know in the beginning people were like, "You need to niche down," and I'm like, I don't want to niche down. I'm going to miss out on all of these people. But no, I found the exact opposite to be true.
Absolutely. And I think, like I was saying, I think that the market has changed to that point. And then there's new sites coming out and new things that are coming together. There's Patreon
Mhm.
and different sites that let you build memberships. And to build a membership, you need to have a specific focus that those people can come in on. Those are the
Yeah.
ones who are going to love what you're doing. And I think that speaks to what you're saying as well. So, um, let's get into that previous question of like, how do we do this? How do we know we're in the right place? How do we start accomplishing what we're talking about?
I mean, part of it is understanding the value proposition that you provide and who's going to benefit the most. So a lot of it depends on the type of business that you have. It could be that you're doing um you could be doing small print, printing different things out or creating coffee mugs. And then it's like, okay, who's going to be your target for the coffee mug? Now, everybody can drink coffee, right? Is that
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody can. Anybody can buy a coffee mug from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's say that you decide that you want to be the preferred coffee mug for women with small children at home.
Hmm.
So you begin to develop your messaging around the coffee mug. The coffee mug's the same, right? It's not changing, but you're developing your messaging to be able to attract that customer. Hey, are you ready for your break after putting after getting the kids up and taking
Yeah.
them off to daycare? Are you ready for the break after dropping the kids off at school? Be able to go and find some time just for you. And so you're creating specific messages that speak to that particular target market. Didn't change what you sell,
Hmm.
but it changes who you're targeting and their perception. Because when I think about niching down and I think about really refining your messaging, it's as if you are in a room in a cocktail party and you'll hear the people talking. You just imagine the people are talking. You
Yeah.
hear kind of the glasses that are clinking and everything there, and someone says something that can help your business, and you're all the way across the room and you say, "Whoa, what? I just heard that. What was that?" Because that's how we want to put together our marketing and our messaging to speak directly to that person.
Absolutely. And I think that gives it a very nice visual to really help us understand the power of what we're talking about here. So we're working on our message. We're developing who we're focusing on. We're trying to think out how we can specifically hit them in a area where even on social media, it's the same environment as that coffee shop where there's just a
Yep.
lot of stuff going on. So how do we stand out? So we got our message together. We kind of figured out who we want to target, and we're starting
Mhm.
to put it out there. What are some things we need to think about when starting to put it in out there? And for an example of what I'm talking about, like social media, the platforms don't hit absolutely everybody. There are certain groups that will flock to certain platforms, like LinkedIn is more business oriented as opposed
Mhm.
to personal. So, how do we start figuring out where to put our message?
That is part of the research that you as a business owner or a consultant that you hire will be able to do to understand very clearly where are the areas where your avatar, your target market actually hang out online. Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on LinkedIn? And then from there, if you know where they are, start building community there. The interesting thing about social media is it's supposed to be social,
Hmm.
and social is two-way conversation where most of us are all one way.
Yeah.
So engage that audience in conversation, start talking about things that you believe would be of interest to them.
Absolutely. And I think that's an amazing point to make. I know that when it finally connected for me, when I was using LinkedIn, because I was doing direct prospecting, right, where I'm
Yeah.
sending out messages, but I wasn't getting as many responses. And then once I had someone tell me, that LinkedIn or any social media is exactly like a networking event. You wouldn't start a networking event where you just go up, say, "Hi, I'm Bill Marshall. I'm a business coach and I would love to help you." No,
Yeah.
you say, "Hi, I'm Bill." You ask for them to introduce themselves and you have a conversation. And once I had that switch in my head, my messaging changed, just like you're talking about, where now I'm more of trying to get to know them, just doing conversational pieces to get a conversation started. And then I'll dive into asks or things to try to set a meeting. And I went from
Yeah.
basically having 1 to 20 with my messages to having maybe 8 or 9 people get back to me to
Yeah.
20 messages.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. And it's all about creating connections and relationships. And when you are able to create the connections and the relationships, then and provide value in every interaction, whether they're a client or not, people can get value just from talking, just from having someone to kind of throw some ideals around. Doesn't mean that I'm not saying give away your stuff for free, but they get value in that. And
Mhm.
so what I would say, particularly to a culture, a coach or a consultant, seek to provide value in every interaction that you have with a potential client or a client.
Yeah. And I found that to be true as well because when I talk to different clients, I just immediately start kind of helping them go through things because I like the idea of showing, not telling what I can
Yep.
accomplish for them. And
Yep.
I find that the people who will work with me are going to stay with me because they already decided, like, well, this was really amazing. I'm going to do more with him as opposed to, well, I'm just going to take that and run with it.
Yep.
Um, so, I think that that's really cool. And one other note to make is that because we're hitting the market that we're trying to resonate with, those conversations are going to be so much more easier to have because we
Yep.
already know how to speak to them and we connect with them and it becomes that much deeper as opposed to a cold call with someone who, probably is in our niche market.
That is correct.
So we've touched on a lot of different things. And I think to kind of start heading into wrapping this into a bow, for now at least, um, we're in front of them, we're talking to them, we're hitting our niche. What are some of the things, and you were talking about this before with how you did it in your company, what are some results that people who are focusing on who they're supposed to target can expect? And like, what are some time, like, because we were also touching on the fact that it takes a little longer sometimes because we're not trying to hit other people, but I feel like we're getting more solid results. So like let's talk more like some of those results, some of the time frames, and kind of get people's final perception around this to come into place.
A lot of it depends on the key performance measures that you set up, or key
Hmm.
performance indicators that you set up. Whether it's going to be, you mentioned the number of responses that you get from your LinkedIn messaging, or
Hmm.
the number of interactions or comments that you get in the post, or the number of emails that you get in terms of a response or a reply to your email. A lot of it depends on the strategy that you want to implement. What I will say is that when you are speaking directly to your target, you can expect to have more replies to the direct messages that you send out.
Hmm.
You will have less unsubscribes to your email list if you are
Yeah.
curating an email list and you're sending information that is relevant to that market. Even if they don't read them all, they will not unsubscribe because there's at some point in time they've gotten value and they will remain to be engaged. Another thing that you can look for when you are connecting and building that community is provide opportunities for them to respond, not just to buy something, not just to download some other kind of thing, but just to respond. Because again, this is a relationship. You're getting to know them and you're speaking directly to them.
Absolutely. And I think that that really does bring it all together because as business owners, we all have something different that drives us for the business
Mhm.
that we're doing, whether it's helping a certain amount of people or financial or hitting goals of change that we make, or the different things that we can accomplish. So knowing how you're going to measure it, I think, is one of the key ways to remain motivated in the entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what's going to be that indicator that you're succeeding, you're not really going to see whether you're making success or not. And
And what
kind
you
of really
measure and what you measure is what matters.
hmm
So what I find is the things that I focus on measuring are the things that grow. The things that I'm
absolutely.
not focused on, they might do okay, but they're not growing at the same rate as the things that I'm actually putting my attention on.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most amazing things about the human mind, where, you know, that perception, and I think it works so many different ways, where, one person will say life is going amazing, another person will say life is not going amazing, and they're having the same life. But because they're looking at different KPIs, they're seeing it completely differently.
Yeah.
And that whole power that your mind has, where like you can literally have almost the same examples of people, and the difference in what they see their life as all comes down to how they're measuring their success, their life, and what those things mean.
Mhm.
um so that's really cool. So I think we covered a lot. We went into a lot of the benefits that come from it, and a lot of the different ways that this can be accomplished, and the results that can come from it. So tell us how we can get a hold of you or get in touch with you if we want to talk more about it, or we're engineers.
Listen, the best place to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn or any of your social media platforms. Um, but the easiest way to get to me from a web perspective is just go to www.winatworkandhome.com. Winatworkandhome.com, because that's what I help people do. I help people win at work and at home.
Perfect. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciated our conversation. Everyone, thank you again for listening to another great interview from our 2023 Business Connection Summit. I'm Bill Marshall, and I look forward to seeing you all in the networking event tonight. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.